When you're teeing it up at Torrey Pines South, make sure you have your game on. That's thanks to the redesign in 2001 by noted golf architect Reese Jones. In this segment, golf pros and other experts take you through holes 1 through 9.
First hole's gotten longer, and they've made a little bit more of a dog leg, and there's more bunkers, and so the tee shots are a lot harder this year, and number one's the same way, and you want to try to figure out a way to get it in the fairway and knock it on the green and hopefully not make too many bogeys. The approach shots, it's always been hard, and they've made it harder this with the setup of the bunkers in the fairway and then the bunker around the green. It's definitely more difficult, and I think every hole has been more difficult, and number one is definitely playing more difficult too.
The toughest part is the green. They made it into, they have a little finger to the right, finger to the left, and you gotta be pretty accurate with your iron. But you know, it's not a long iron coming in, usually anywhere from a wedge to 8 iron probably. So that's one of our birdie holes, one of a few of them.
Are there any easy holes on this course now?
Well, I think the second hole and then maybe the 5 pars are where you're going to have to try to make your birdies. Other than that, there's a lot of long irons out there.
Tipped out, it's 191 yards to the center of the green. And before the green was over about 40 or 50 yards, you kind of hit more into the wind. And now it's going to be more of a crosswind that you have to hit into. You can't miss it left at all. If you do, it's in the canyon. You have to miss it right if you do bail out and don't go right at the green. And that leaves you a little better chance to chip it up and make your putt. But this green is pretty difficult to putt. There's some areas on the green that are hard, back left corner or back right. But if it's up towards the front, you know, hopefully you can manage a par out of it. You know, there's like 3 different areas on this green that you have to try to hit at. Left corner, back right, or front. And you really kind of have to get on the right spot on these greens because there are some movement in the greens that's going to allow for a lot more break. So if you can get to the right spot, club it right, you'll have a better chance at making par. The one thing that really stands out here more than anything else, the changes that they've done, is that all the views have all been pulled into play now. That's probably the biggest noticeable difference playing out here. Everything's opened up and it's by the ocean more so on the greens and the canyons, and it just makes everything a little more beautiful. This hole plays 485. It can play 500 if we go all the way back to the tips. It's a par 4, but I think the Buick will play at about 485 yards. And you don't want to miss it left. You have the ocean over here to the left side, and the rough's high over here as well. If anything, you want to favor the right side. Plenty of room over here. Emphasis on hitting the fairway again because you're going to have a real long iron or even a 3-wood into this green. And if you're sitting in the rough, you have no chance at this hole whatsoever. You know how the hang gliders use the updraft out here to sail up and down the coast? This is the first time I ever felt the updraft, the wind, right on this green up here when we were putting or hitting our shots into it. It really factors in the wind right when you stand out here on this point. As we get a little closer up here, you'll see it plays a big factor in hitting your shots. You can see the shape of this tree over here to the left, how it's wind blown, the top of it, because of the updraft swinging up over the top of this green right here. This view is, gosh, it never came into play before from this hole. And now this green being moved 40, 70 yards over here really brings this ocean and this view into play. And it's never really been seen before, at least on this green, or any other part of on this golf course. And I mean, I'll put this against Pebble Beach or any of the Monterey Peninsula courses. This is absolutely spectacular.
The 5 is a lot longer than it used to be. They added a new tee there, and the fairway's actually a lot better because they moved the bunker back to the left. So you have a little more room in the fairway. And I struggled there today, hit it in the left bunker and then short of the green, and end up and down in it though, so made a par.
So how are us weekend duffers supposed to handle a hole like that?
Well, you're supposed to play the white tees. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah, that's why they have 5 sets of tees out there now. So, but I think everyone's going to want to at least once get on those back tees and just test it out. And just take your beating and say, I played Torrey from the back. Oh, 6, you know, still par 5. 6 hasn't changed a whole lot except for up by the green with the bunkering, and it's actually a lot better because you can roll the ball up now with your second shot. So I think 6 is an improvement on what it used to be. If it's downwind, the long hitters can try to go for the green in 2, but other than that, you just lay up, take your wedge out, and there's a lot of little dipsy-doos on that green, so you want to make sure you lay it up in the fairway so you can spin it and get it in there pretty close. Well, 7, I mean, it's still dogleg right. They moved the fairway just slightly right, I think, and the left bunker is a much better position left of the fairway now. It comes into play more than it used to, and I hit in there today, so it definitely comes into play. And it gives you a chance, though, to shoot for the left side of the green and try to make a hard par, and that's kind of what I did there today.
8 is a really interesting hole because when Reese Jones got here to redesign the course, the biggest factor there was the fact that the tee sat down, and so you didn't see the green at all. You could not see one part of the green. All you saw is kind of the bunkers in front of it, and you couldn't see anything behind the bunkers. What they did was they raised the tee up about 15 feet, so now you're up high and you can see slivers of the green on the left and the right. You still can't see the middle, so if the pin's in the middle, you still can't see the bottom of the pin, but it gives the players a better feel for what the shape of the green is. And it's really interesting because it still looks like a very small green from the tee, so it's a tough pin to shoot at. They added a bunker in the back, which is the real key to the hole now, because they can't go long. Before, they could err on the long side and not worry about that, and so they'd avoid the front bunkers. Well, now they have to worry about getting in the back bunkers. The green there is fairly narrow hitting into it, so they really don't have that much space to hit into, and so I think the front bunkers are coming into play more now because they're worried about the back bunker too, and they're having to be much more precise on their distance.
I can't hit them in 2, so I don't have to worry about it. You know, I try to drive in the fairway, lay up down there, and have a nice wedge and get it close and hopefully make the putt. I've played them that way. I've hit pretty good drives in the par 5s in the South Course. Hit 3 irons down there to about in that 80 to 90 yard range, 70 to 90 yard range, and I birdied number 6, I birdied number 9, I birdied number 13, and I parred number 18. I played with Tiger last week, all 3 rounds up there. You know, he hits 50 yards by me, but that's all right. You know, you have to make the putts, and the thing that the long hitters don't get enough credit is how well they do putt and how good their short game really is. I mean, his short game in putting last week was phenomenal. He would have missed the cut otherwise. And he, you know, he's just, you know, like some of the other young players, very, very gifted, powerful and gifted. And certainly they have an advantage on a long golf course. As well, a long hitter should. If he's straight and long, he should have an advantage.